Hey everyone, thanks for choosing my story. I'm Blanca and I'm 55. Let me take you back to a time when my world turned upside down. You see, I never thought I'd be the kind of mom to snitch on her own son, but sometimes life throws you curveballs. So my son Amos, who was 19 at the time, came to see me one day with this girl, Eliza. I had never met her before and I could tell something was up. Amos looked like he was about to break into a cold sweat. He urged me to sit down, and that's when he dropped the bomb that changed everything. Okay, spill it. Why do you both look like you've seen a ghost? And who is this girl? She's my girlfriend. Oh, why didn't you introduce me to her sooner? How are you, sweetie? Is he treating you well? Mom, seriously? This is not the time. Nonsense. She seems like a lovely girl. Quite shy, aren't you? Well, that's no bother. I'm sure we'll become buddies in no time. Mom, Eliza and I need to talk to you about something important. Important? What's going on? Mom, Eliza's pregnant. What? Miss Santos, we're going to have a baby. I swear to God, in that moment, I thought I would lose my mind. I was really hoping that it was a prank or something, but when no one was smiling, reality started to set in, and I felt like I was going to throw up. What? A baby? Are you kidding me? How did this happen? Well, you see, Mom, sometimes things just happen. Things just happen? Amos, this is not the stork dropping a package on our doorstep. How could you let this happen? I've always told you to be safe. Mrs. Blanca, it's not just his fault. I was part of this too. Oh, don't worry, your turn is coming. You both are adults, or at least I thought so. Explain yourselves. Mom, it was a mistake. We weren't careful enough, and now we have to face the consequences. Consequences? You both have just changed the course of your lives, and mine. I'm too young to be a grandma. She wants to keep the baby. I can't imagine getting rid of it. I know that this wasn't part of the plan, but a baby is a blessing, and so that's why we're here, to tell you and to ask for your help. After the initial shock wore off, I found myself calming down. Don't get me wrong, I was still absolutely pissed, but Amos and Eliza were facing the consequences of their actions, and I made it clear that I would support them, but not at the expense of becoming dependent freeloaders. In the middle of the chaos, I learned about Eliza's troubled relationship with her toxic parents. Their negative reaction to her pregnancy left me with no choice but to bring her into our home. I decided to let her stay with us to provide stability in what was sure to be a challenging time. With the three of us under one roof, it was a hustle. Amos took on 2 jobs to contribute financially, and Eliza, despite her own struggles, found employment. I emphasized the importance of responsibility and hard work. It was a tough journey, but I was determined to make the best out of an unexpected situation. After all, I had to prepare them for any and everything that would come their way once they became young parents. As the due date got closer, Amos got more agitated. Eliza had to stop working in her last trimester because of back pain. So Amos had to work even more and do odd jobs in the neighborhood just to get some extra cash for the baby. It was really tough, I could tell. And in typical male fashion, he wouldn't want to speak to me about it. When he would come home, he was often sulking, angry from all the work. I get it. Working 2 jobs, still struggling, isn't fun. Blame the economy, but it had to be done. I wanted them to understand that having a baby is no joke, and they figured that out once little Sammy was born. Ah, the good old days of being woken up every 3 hours, those were fun. I would help out on some of the night shifts, of course, but when I would be woken up by Sammy, and I knew that both Eliza and Amos were able to do it, I let them sort out their poopy diapers. They would take turns, as most couples do, but I noticed that whenever it was Amos's turn to be on night duty, He would be especially angry, and oftentimes he would do such a bad job that Eliza had to step in even when they agreed that Amos had it covered. With Eliza's parents essentially cutting her off after the birth, and Amos being grumpy and frustrated, the house was filled with mixed emotions, and taking care of a baby added to the challenge. Despite doing my abuela duties by babysitting and helping with finances wherever I could, these kids still struggled. It was understandable, they were just starting to figure out life, and now they had to take care of a little one. When Sam turned 1 year old, I sat down with my son to talk about how he'd been holding up. I did this from time to time, especially during that first year of Sam's life, but Amos always brushed it off, saying he didn't want to talk about it. I thought that now, with things settling into a routine, he might feel comfortable sharing his feelings. So one late night, I met him on the porch with some coffee and tried to have a heart-to-heart. How are you holding up? Honestly, not great, Mom. I'm just tired, frustrated, you name it. You know? Yep. It's a lot, but be more specific. What exactly is making you so frustrated? It's this whole situation. You know, God, I feel so awful saying it out loud. I never wanted a kid, especially not at 19. But Eliza insisted on keeping the baby. I felt like my opinion did. Maybe it doesn't. After all, I wasn't the one carrying the baby. But now I'm stuck with responsibilities I never signed up for. I hate to say it, but I resent them. Both of them? Yeah. I know it's awful. Well, yeah. But it's also understandable. You've been through a lot and you've worked so hard. I'm so proud of you for who you've become. I just feel like I've been robbed, like I had to dive into work so early. I don't know. I get that it's tough, but I'm glad you opened up to me. It's important to talk about it. You're not alone in this. I know, but it's hard not to be resentful. I wish she had considered my feelings more. Thank you for opening up, Amos. I can't change the past, but we can find a way to make things work. Your feelings matter, and we'll figure this out together. Thanks, Ma. Don't thank me yet. You still need to talk to her. She's your partner in all of this. I was glad Amos finally spoke his mind. I prayed for him every day, hoping he'd find some peace. After our talk, he gathered Eliza and me to share his feelings once more, but now with Eliza hearing it as well. Eliza was genuinely thankful for the open conversation, and they kissed and made up. This led Eliza to reach out to her uncle back in England for some support. She didn't have much hope, thinking that her uncle wouldn't want to help her because of her situation, but a good, bad thing happened instead, depending on how you view the situation. Sadly, when she tried reaching out to him, she found out from some extended relatives that her uncle had recently passed away in a skiing accident. But she then discovered that she was in his will, so it was great that she had reached out because the relatives were having a hard time finding all the beneficiaries. Turns out that this guy was loaded. He must have been a prince or something because Eliza was set to inherit $400,000. Can you believe it? I've never seen that amount of money in my whole life, and this girl was about to get it over the course of a week. So a couple of days later, Eliza got on a plane and went back to England to pay her respects and to receive her inheritance. When she returned, things got better and better with the unexpected money. Amos, Eliza, and Sam managed to move to their own place, a much better place by the end of the year. I was genuinely happy for their improved lives, and I thought, finally some peace and quiet. Within the next year, they tied the knot in a cute little chapel. Things seemed to be on the up and up for them. They had a nice house with a nice car, and Eliza was starting a business selling juices, protein powder, and all-natural energy drinks. Now, you'd think that with all that success, Amos would be happier. I mean, after all, his main point of concern was handling a crap ton of responsibility. And with the way that Eliza was working, he was set to become a house husband quite soon. However, despite the better situation, Amos was always irritated. And when I would ask him about it, he wouldn't speak about it. It's like we were back to square one, and I wasn't pleased. I talked to Eliza about Amos's behavior, and she was just as confused as I was. She told me that she tried talking to him about it every day, and she told me that he seems to have been extra pissed ever since they left my house. His attitude was getting on our nerves. We didn't know what he wanted and what would make him happy. Eliza would sometimes cry, fearing that Sam was picking up Amos's demeanor, turning into a quiet and nonchalant kid. I did my best, playing counselor for the couple, but it didn't help. Their issues kept growing, and Eliza, tired of Amos's attitude, hesitated to end things due to Sam's age. This went on for years, with Amos being mostly cold and Sam turning into a weird, shy kid. I was getting super suspicious of it all. When I tried talking to Sam about his behavior, he insisted everything was fine, but he said something a bit off that I should have paid more attention to at the time. Now, baby, you know your abuela loves you? Yes. So, you tell me if there was anything wrong, right? Yes. Your mommy and I have noticed your dad acting a bit strange. Does he seem angry to you? Well, sometimes. But he just says it'll all be over soon enough. What? What will be over? I don't know. When I ask him about it, he just tells me to shut up. Interesting. I thought that my son was referring to his postpartum depression that never seemed to go away, but boy was I wrong. I really wish I paid more attention to that. I could have confronted him and maybe stopped what happened a couple of years later. Just a little bit after Sam turned 9, I got a worrying call from Eliza. Hey, Mom, how are you? I'm doing well, my love. What about you? I'm good, thank you. I was just calling to ask if Sammy had taken his pills. The doctor said that he needs to take them on time. But he hates them, so he tries to hide them. Please just make sure he's taken his pills. I'll make sure to call Amos and ask him about it. I don't know anything about this. What do you mean? Where's Sam? He'll explain everything to you. Just call him, please. Eliza? Sam isn't with me. What? What do you mean he isn't with you? As in, I haven't seen the tyke in like a week? Remember? We went to the park? Yes, of course, I remember, but Amos said that he dropped Sam off at your place 1 hour ago. What? Yeah, I told him I would be swamped at work today, so I couldn't make sure Sam took his meds on time. Sometime after the park, he started coming down with something, and you know his immune system is pretty weak. Right. So yeah, the doctors gave us a bunch of meds, and he's supposed to be taking them. I told Amos to handle it, but he told me he had very important business to take care of, so he dropped Sam off at yours. Well, this is the first time I'm hearing of any of this. Amos didn't call me, and I certainly don't have Sam here with me. Both Eliza and I began to panic. We tried calling Amos, of course, but his phone was switched off, unreachable. Worries grew, and we feared they might have had an accident on their way to my house. Eliza had an idea. She decided to track the AirTags she left in the car. She had AirTags everywhere. She was obsessed with true crime and always taking extra precautions to have evidence or a lead if she ever got kidnapped, or worse. Amos and I always used to make fun of her for it, and she would always say, "One day you two will see." I guess all her worrying paid off because we had a real emergency on our hands and we could track the AirTag and find out where Amos and Sam were. Eliza asked for some time to locate it and promised to send me the location. We decided to meet there. When she sent the location, she said she didn't recognize the place, but I instantly did. It was some abandoned parking lot that was half demolished, a place Amos and his friends used to mess around when they were 15 or 16. I wondered why they were there. Maybe Amos was trying to spend some time with Sam, trying to show him what his life was like when he was younger. Maybe, but it just seems strange. Why would he visit that dump, and why is his phone off? I don't know, but we'll find out soon enough. Let's call when we arrive at the site. See you there. After we hung up, I rushed to that abandoned parking lot in my beat-up car. Luckily, I managed to blend in with the other abandoned cars there since I knew the place better than Eliza and was closer. I arrived before her. I was about to call Eliza and let her know I had arrived. I spotted Amos and Sam in the distance. I was about to get out of my car to surprise them when a group of men approached them instead. They looked scary, and I was wondering how Amos knew these guys. And then, very suddenly, one of the men grabbed Sam and started carrying him to their car. I was shocked, unsure of what was happening. Another scary-looking guy approached Amos, handing him a fat stack of cash. I couldn't believe my eyes. Was my son trying to sell Sam on the black market or something? What the hell was going on? Quickly, I started recording a video of the scene while trying to text Eliza. I told her to call the police and direct them to the location because the service was terrible in that area. I told her there was no time to explain and she said she would get to it. I went back to recording, trying to understand what was happening. Part of me hoped it was some sick joke because Sam wasn't screaming and he didn't seem to be uncomfortable as he was put in the car. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but my gut told me something was very, very wrong. I didn't want to risk getting out and putting Sam and myself in danger, so I stayed in my car, praying and panicking and praying some more. The guys seemed ready to leave with Sam in their car, and Amos was heading back to his car, and that's when I knew for sure that something wasn't right. It was all happening so fast, I felt like I didn't have enough time to process anything. But I sprang into action nonetheless. Not wanting them to escape, I decided to honk my car horn, knowing it might put me in danger, but I had to risk it for Sam. The noise obviously got their attention and they started making their way towards my car. It was Amos and the guy who had given Amos the money. I was crapping bricks because I was frozen. I didn't know what to expect. As they approached, I overheard one of the scary guys yelling at Amos, saying, "I thought you said this place was empty. What the frick, man? You think we have time to play games with you?" "Listen, dude, I don't know what's going on either, but we'll figure it out. I'm sorry, okay? This place has been dead for years, and trust me, I know." When they came to my car, the scary guy opened the door and saw me inside. Amos looked like he saw a ghost. "Mom? What are you doing here?" "Yo, who the frick is this? Did you just call her your mom?" "Listen, I can explain." "Man, I should just shoot you right now, both you and her." "What?" "Amos, what the hell is going on here?" "Look, this wasn't part of the plan. I had no idea she would be here. I've done what you've asked. This doesn't need to get messy. Please, just..." Then he looked at me with so much guilt and said, "Just take the kid and go." "Where is he taking my baby? What are you talking about?" Amos continued to ignore me as the scary guy kept yelling and yelling, threatening to kill us both. But Amos was pleading with him. The scary guy told Amos the deal was off, that this was way too messy and they weren't in the mood to go to jail. So the guy started walking back towards his car, but Amos was chasing after him, trying to negotiate. The guy had his man drop Sam, and the one who carried him carelessly tossed him on the dirty ground. I ran out of the car, making my way to both Sam and Amos as those awful men made their exit. Naturally, I started yelling at Amos, asking him to explain just what the hell was going on. Just then, Eliza arrived with the police. When Eliza got out of the car, she looked at all of us and was asking what was going on. And that's when I told the police officers, "Arrest this man! Take him! Take him now!" "Mom, what the heck? You won't even let me explain myself?" "What is there to explain? I saw what you were about to do." "What's going on? Why is Sam all dirty? And why did you switch your phone off?" "I'll tell you why. It's because he was trying to get rid of Sam." "Get rid of? What do you mean?" "Here, I caught it all on my phone." I handed my phone over to Eliza as I held Sam and told him everything would be okay. That's when he burst into tears, realizing that what was happening to him was very wrong. Eliza started hitting Amos, cussing at him and asking him to explain what was going on, and Amos just stood there frozen like a statue. The police had approached us and one of the officers was trying to break up the fight while I was explaining what Amos was trying to do. I told the other officer that the kidnappers had left not too long ago in a black van and that they could still catch them. The officer called for backup while a couple stayed behind to arrest Amos. Sam was still crying and he kept on saying, "He said that it would all be okay once it's over. That's what he told me. He said that he would be happy once it was all over, once I was gone." "Oh, my sweet baby. Shh, it's okay. You're going to be okay. I'm so sorry he did this to you." "Mom, wait. Don't you dare say another word. I should kill you right now. What the hell is wrong with you? You're a monster, a pig. How could you do this to your own son?" "He said he would be happy once I left. I just wanted to make him happy." "Baby, none of this is your fault. Please, shh, don't worry. It's going to be okay." The officer took Amos away, checking his car and retrieving the cash that was handed to him, because I told them what had happened. Eliza started crying as she took Sam from me, holding him and telling him that everything would be okay. Amos was shoved into the squad car and taken downtown to be booked. We had to follow them to make a statement, and I showed the police the video I took of the deal that was going on. They thanked me because with the footage they could now have an easier time identifying some of the kidnappers. Amos was put in a cell and wasn't speaking to anyone, not even Eliza, and no police officer could get through to him. All he would say, if anything, was that he wanted a lawyer. He looked ashamed, and I felt the same way. I felt sick, knowing that my son was capable of doing such a horrible thing. It was the worst day of my life. From that day on, I couldn't help but look at him without hatred and disgust. I know he's my kid, but I couldn't understand why he did what he did. Was it for money? He didn't need it. His wife was loaded. Was it because he never wanted a kid like he said all those years ago? Why now? Why do it now? It just didn't make any sense, because even if that was the case, selling Sam on the black market was a stupid move. What was his plan if he succeeded? Run away with the money? Come up with a crazy story on where Sam went? I don't know, hey? We'll find out next year when his trial takes place, and I'll be sure to update you guys on how everything goes. For now, he's rotting in a jail cell. Eliza, Sam, and I are all in therapy, individually and as a group, to deal with the trauma that this has caused. It turns out that all Sam can remember growing up is his father telling him he hated him, and that nothing would make him happier than if Sam just left. It breaks my heart every time I have to say it. That was probably the reason why Sam was always so quiet and awkward, as the person who was supposed to love him unconditionally treated him like crap every day.